here with the Digital Digest, and today I'm sharing my first update on my experience with the Lenovo Slim 7i Aura Edition for 2025. This particular build retails for roughly $1,000 at the time of this video. I'll include a link in the description for those of you interested in purchasing one. And in full disclosure, this was furnished to me by the manufacturer for review purposes, but will be going back once my coverage has been completed. So what I can tell all of you right here at the top of the video is that this is one of the best machines on the market for its price. In fact, even price independently speaking, I could say this is one of the best machines because it gets over 20 hours of battery life, has a great display, great keyboard, great trackpad, even if it's not haptic, has solid I/O between Thunderbolt, Type-A USB port, and HDMI 2.1 out. It really is an all-around machine, but that's not where it ends, because with the Intel Ultra 7 processor, 32 gigs of RAM, in addition to that, you're getting Intel's 140V integrated GPU, which actually can hang when it comes to gaming. So let's take a look and a listen at the display right now. Again, 1920 by 1200 res. It peaks at 500 nits. Performance is very impressive on this OLED panel. So what I'll tell you here is that the speakers aren't going to blow you away, but I think the performance on them is solid for its class. Again, the price point needs to be taken into account. I am impressed. Here is a sample of the unboxing of this particular laptop. On it, but if I had to guess, 5 gigabit. HD, one much larger than the other. These are both really budget for the fully functional. I'll show you the I/O here as we get past this lyric ad. That review will be coming soon for those of you that have been curious. With Windows Hello, biometric, 1.5 millimeter travel distance on these keys. You've pretty much controls at the top for everything, but it does not take on, of course, the attributes of the Slim 9i, this flagship that has a new panel. Essentially, it's really a column of keys that have been added to the deck. At the top, our 5 megapixel webcam. It is IR capable, so this should be fully functional. And here's the I/O that I mentioned before. I figured I would leave that in here so that you could get that recap. With Windows Hello, biometric login. As we come to the right side of the machine, we have our lock for the webcam. So you have a kill switch that will actually kill the power to the webcam. Your power button, your headphone microphone combo jack, and I believe that is a Type-A port. I don't know the throughput on it, but if I had to guess, 5 gigabit. HDMI 2.1 here on the left corner of the machine. So that's good to see, again, for anyone who was worried that you're not going to have any I/O. 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, which is at the very least, I think, a requirement these days, hopefully with other I/O surrounding it. And then a micro SD card slot, which I'm... So really, can you find this broad amount of I/O on a machine that checks all of these boxes and then happens to be under $1,000? Likely not. And then the crazy part, as I mentioned, is that with the Intel 140V, you can actually game, folks. For those of you who missed the memo, it really can hang. So as you can see with Time Spy right here, and this being a full HD display, it's kind of a match made in heaven. It doesn't hurt that it's an OLED with 120 hertz refresh rate. It really is actually quite ideal. So as you can see, Battlefield 5, 1440, 45 plus frames. But let's stick with what the display is actually capable of. And as you can see, just like most of the PC consoles that are out there right now, this thing can tear it up, at least in the full HD world. And this is becoming a normal routine for Intel-based machines now on the Lunar Lake platform. You're not going to have a problem gaming as long as you have 130 or 140V integrated into your CPU, and hopefully 32 gigs of RAM. I highly recommend that because the 140V is actually utilizing 16 gigs of RAM. So that is another great element of what this chipset is capable of. But every game, at least, that you're going to throw at it that isn't necessarily a bleeding edge AAA title is going to be playable for the most part, and older AAAs will, even some new ones will. And I may end up doing a gaming review for this just because, after all, 4421 on TimeSpy is really quite excellent for a machine that really has no place in the gaming world, at least per Lenovo's intention, and really Intel's either. Granted, the bar has shifted, for what integrated GPU capability is all about. Now, when it comes to the 1 terabyte NVMe that's included, read and write speeds are excellent. No need to upgrade that, in my opinion. You're getting exactly what you would expect. So that's another good sign. And I just really appreciate that this, again, checks so many boxes. And let's not forget the touchscreen. So something I didn't mention, and that's because I don't really think it's the star of the show here at all. It's just another added bonus. I don't think that, keep in mind, it is not a 2-in-1. The screen does not go all the way around like most. That's the defining factor of the Slim models, is that they don't do the 180 2-in-1 dance. But still, touchscreen pen support is there. So if you're after that, it's capable. I personally use the touchscreen when it's appropriate, so I always prefer to have a touch layer as long as it does not degrade or interfere with the visual acuity of the display itself. And in this case, I don't see any of that going on, so that's the good news. So great NVMe performance. Now let's talk about the Wi-Fi performance, because I've got news that's excellent as well. So far, what I've seen from the Wi-Fi 7 capability is well over gigabit performance, and we'll see if I get that here again. It appears not. But maybe we'll get there. But on average, it looks like it is getting there. I've been getting at least a gigabit or a little under a gigabit, which is what I expect with a modern Wi-Fi 7 capable machine like this. So for those of you wondering, if you are wireless, it's going to feel like you're wired for the most part, as long as you have a stable connection on the other end that it's talking to. And, well, I do. Finally, my internet here got cleaned up. So things are much more reliable than they had been in the past, and this is what I like to see on a wireless connection. I mean, in a perfect world, I'll run it one more time and see if we get a little bit more juice out of this. But that gives you a solid idea. Again, granted, I have a 5 millisecond ping on this server, but it gives you a solid idea of what the Wi-Fi performance is going to be. So you already know, 20 plus hours of battery life, 1.5 millimeter key travel on a Lenovo keyboard that you already know is one of the best in the business. This trackpad is great, obnoxiously large, and that's not a bad thing. We've got a great CPU, GPU combo here. You don't really need more RAM, in my opinion, because after all, you're kind of flexing what this CPU is capable of already. I feel like any more RAM, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but not necessarily something you need either, because this is really meant to be a modern Ultrabook, under 3 pounds, 2.8 and change. Content consumption, email, light gaming, even some heavy gaming, as you may have seen already, tells you what you really need to know about this. And when it comes to the aesthetic and build quality, Lenovo didn't miss there either, which is what I really like about it, because all metal construction here, it's solid. That 70 watt hour battery is why we're getting, in conjunction with Lunar Lake performance, a cool, quiet 20 plus hours. I don't have an exact number yet. I'll have that in the final review. But that's in large part due to, again, that full HD rather than 4K display you'll find in the Slim 9i. And again, the I/O is great. So what is there really not to like? I mean, having pretty much everything you could need on the road when traveling is ideal. So that Type-A USB port, of course, headphone microphone combo jack, the power button, your privacy switch for the webcam, front lip here with that 5 megapixel IR capable webcam, which, by the way, do not undersell that capability. I expect IR Windows Hello capability on all machines now, and anytime it doesn't have it, I mean, this is going on for years for me personally. If it's relatable for you, it is. I'm disappointed when there's a lack of IR capability. So the 9i, yes, I'm looking at you. Having to use the fingerprint scanner isn't the end of the world, but that convenience is an expectation, a standard, if you will, and I can blame companies like Lenovo for that, along with HP and others. But HDMI 2.1, 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, that is how you charge the machine. You can get up to 3 hours of use in 15 minutes on this bad boy, and that's real. And then don't sleep on the micro SD card slot, which as a photographer, I absolutely love. As a content creator, it is a must-have. It means when traveling with this machine, I take less crap. And I don't mean from other people. That we can't avoid, right? My comedy hour is free. So is my content. What do you know? At any rate, great machine. Even though this is my first update, I can highly recommend it at this point. I've spent enough time with it to know it rocks, and it does so at a very amenable price point that really makes the rest of this pile tough to consider, except for the X. So stay tuned if you want to see more content on that. There will be, because that machine, I do think, the 9i obviously is gorgeous, has some flaws, but really like it, sets a new standard in the price, the display. The Carbon X1 is really at the top of the heap when it comes to its lightweight and performance profile, but it is a ThinkPad through and through. Some will love that, some will not. But the X9 is what I was mentioning before. This is your other performance price champion when it comes to these two. I will probably do a direct comparison because I feel these are neck and neck. But design separates them, and one is a ThinkPad and one is not. Although many would argue this isn't much of a ThinkPad from its design language and lack of track point. And then we got this old guy, which is the first of the Aura Edition lineup. Still one of the best for the price, around $1,000. But its display really isn't in the league of these others because all of them have OLEDs for the most part. So that is where this old guy, great for its price to performance ratio, but I prefer having an OLED display all day long. So again, first update on the 7i Aura Edition. Great machine. Kudos to Lenovo for making a great performer that I could actually have thought could have been a lot more expensive than its budget-friendly price, which, by the way, over time will only go down. If you haven't gotten that memo, that's another one. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. This is going to get cheaper, not more expensive. Surprise, surprise. And that means this $1,000 laptop is going to be an even better buy come Black Friday. I know that seems like it's a million years away, but we'll be there very quickly. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them at that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.